Hey everyone, welcome to It Tastes Different Gaming Appetizers. What are we talking about this time? Well, supposedly, rumor has it that Sony will be launching the PS5 Pro in April of 2023 with liquid cooling, according to this article. But I highly doubt that. But we'll go over it and we'll talk about it here. So by April, it'll be about 2.5 years since the PlayStation 5 came out. Around then, right? So supposedly this is coming from an anonymous source that claims that the Japanese company will launch a completely new PlayStation 5 model as early as April 2023. The source claims that the source confirms that it's a Pro model rather than the slim variant that we've been hearing about for some time. Of course, if it's a Pro model, we can expect possibly newer chips from AMD, better performance, and various things of that nature. So according to the source, the Pro's version's primary innovation will be that of its level of cooling in addition to improved performance. Right now, the PS5 is cooled by fans and liquid metal compound that they have. We talked about that with the whole potential leaking of liquid metal, but of course that's, a rare thing, but it can definitely, any type of liquid that you have around, even liquid cooling your PC, you could potentially have a leak, right? We've heard about those before. But so that stuff happens. So we don't really know, one, if Sony's going to come out with a PS5 Pro. We've been hearing about the PS5 Slim variant for quite a while. What is it? The model that doesn't have a disk drive, but it has like a separate disk drive that you can plug into it. We've heard about this model for quite some time. We've heard about. I think most people speculate that a Pro model will come at some point, mid-gen jump is probably going to happen for Xbox and PlayStation. They seem to like that, and users seem to like that too. I think 2.5 years after its launch is a little too quick to throw a Pro model out into the public, especially now that, even though the PlayStation 5 has sold quite a lot, people still have somewhat of a hard time finding them, but we are seeing them more on store shelves nowadays. So it's a little bit easier. And I think the people that really wanted one probably have one by now. So that would be kind of a middle finger to all those people that have tried so hard to get a PlayStation 5, finally get one, and then they throw a Pro model out the door 2 years later, right? When it's finally getting to the point where you can purchase one from the store. So and then if they went with liquid cooling, which, the article doesn't suggest necessarily that they're going to do that. It's kind of a wish list for the article, because they do say a new way of cooling the system or some sort of way of cooling it. Liquid cooling could definitely be a way to go. And that might make even though liquid cooling is definitely going down in price as much as it was definitely super expensive when it first came out, but now it's a little bit cheaper than it used to be. It's a little more accessible for people to get liquid cooled stuff for their PCs and stuff. That would still make for a hefty price tag on that PS5 model, I would think, the PS5 Pro model. So we'll go around and see what everybody thinks of this article and thinks of the PS5 Pro coming out in April. Pat, what do you think about that?
I'd call BS on that as well, because I think last we heard on the PS5 redesign that you were talking about, that has the interchangeable ships with or without the disc, but is interchangeable. So even if you buy it without the disc, you can buy the disc drive later and swap it in, was rumored to not even come out until 2024. And I think the most recent stuff I heard was saying like September of 2023. So you're going to tell me that the PS5 Pro is going to come out before this similar model redesign? I mean, we've known PlayStation does model redesigns throughout the year. We're not talking about Pro. We're talking about when they decide to go with the slim model, as you pointed out, or, the alternate color models, or when they had like the piano version and all that stuff, So PlayStation does redesign throughout their generation of consoles, whereas Xbox is not really big into that, right? We don't see a whole lot of redesigns. They don't come out with an Xbox Slim. I mean, in the early days of 360, you had like the 360 Elite, which was the black and bigger drive and stuff like that. But really, since the Xbox One, all you really had was the Xbox One, the higher model of the Xbox One. And now we have the Series X. And so who knows what they're going to do, if they'll do a mid-gen bump or not of that. But we'll see. But I think I agree with you. 2.5 years after, in saying that they're going to come out with one within 3-year mark is highly, highly suspect to me. That you're going to have a pro model, especially as you mentioned, Sony is just now saying, hey, it's all clear. We have plenty of PlayStations in stock if you want one. So the shortage is over, according to Sony. Now we're going to pump out a pro model. I don't know. I kind of call a little BS on that one because I can't see it, especially because this guy in the article is claiming that we should hear something by April of this year. It could be coming out by April. And I'm like, no. I mean, just imagine how much advertisement they do leading up to a mid-gen bump every time that there's one of those. Now, if this is just a redesign of the model number, then yeah, we could see one of those, right? Because I think Sony's already put out a couple of one, at least one, maybe two model redesigns since they've introduced it. So I could see them doing that, like a stealth release of a slightly modified model, but not a next gen. Not a mid-year bump or anything like that. At least that's my opinion. What do you think, Shane? You ready for the PS5 Pro already?
Yeah. When monkeys fly out my butt. No. And by the way, Pat, you're kind of wrong. So the Xbox One also had the One S, which is the slim version of the Xbox One. It also had a larger hard drive.
The One S is the same thing as the Series S, so that's not entirely true. I mean, it did come out after the console was released.
Version of it, but it did have a larger hard drive. But I absolutely agree. There is no way in hell this thing is coming out as described in this article. Now, a redesign, an upgraded model a bit, like, they've talked about it, and they'll spit those out. Hell, that you may have a newer version, not even know it, than the one that was released originally. Because they patch things, they fix things, they do whatever. But this wouldn't be a mid-gen upgrade. Even if they did do it, it would be a quarter-gen upgrade. If the PS5 is going to have let's say an 8-year shelf life, at the minimum, we're not mid-gen. We're not, midway there yet. So, they need to slow down. They could announce something as a, redesigned, internal, just some upgraded stuff. They could say, hey, we're starting to put these in our consoles now because we got them at a good price or some crap. Maybe it is the, they're putting the water cool in them now, which I don't know what that crap costs, but from what Nick was explaining, it ain't cheap. I don't see Sony dropping any new console mid-gen upgrade by any means this early. They're working on it, that's for damn sure. I mean, too many rumors going around. Plus, Microsoft's doing the same thing. They're working on the Xbox, Series X Ultra HD Double D compartments thing. They're going to have something coming up. It's just what they do now. And I do find it funny that, do you remember when the 360 was announced and the PlayStation 3 was announced? PlayStation 3 built-in Blu-ray. Boom. Microsoft, hold my teacup. External high definition drive. You can buy it if you want. It was a HDD drive you could attach to your Xbox 360. Nick, you remember, I can see it in your face. Because that was the beginning of Blu-ray or HD DVDs. Guess who won? Not HD DVDs. So, the whole external drive thing, I think it's my personal feeling. I don't like it. So if that's something new model they're going to come out with, we've talked about it before, so I don't like you can go digital or you can buy this adapter and put your discs in. So I don't see them coming up with any new models anytime soon, as far as a new model, maybe something slightly modified and upgraded. But they're damn sure ain't gonna be announcing in April. Like who is it? Saturn, brand new Saturn. It's on the shelves now. Developers like, what the hell? It ain't gonna be one of those situations. So, what about you, Nick? I mean, do you honestly think there's any truth to this?
No. I think that we do have revisions, right? There was a revision that came out soon after the PlayStation 5 released. It was a smaller, I want to say it was a smaller heatsink and copper tubing inside of the PlayStation 5. Which, because we had all those articles and all those videos at the time that were saying that it was it ran hotter with the new heatsink in there, but come to find out it didn't. It ran about the same. So ours are probably old enough or new enough at the time that we got them that we probably have the bigger heat sinks in them, because I think it was like a month or two after we got ours that they showed off the new revisions. But no, I don't see that, and I do remember HD DVDs. My buddy had a whole bunch of them. The HD DVDs themselves, because that was who's going to win, but Blu-ray just they spent the most money. But yeah, I don't see I do see PlayStation do a mid-year jump. As a business stance, I do understand the whole, and I do think they will go with the external drive thing. And the reason why I do is because then they only have to make one model, right? And if you want, they only have to make the because like right now, the PlayStation 5 that's almost incredibly hard to find, and it is the rare one, is the one without a disk drive, right? And so for them to come out with a new model that they could come out later on, which would be the slim model that does have an external drive that you could buy separately, that makes a lot of sense. They only have to make one version of the PlayStation 5. They don't have to sell two different kinds, because it almost feels like they've kind of decided, especially like after launching the PlayStation 5, that the diskless model is almost kind of like they decided they're not going to do that, right? They still make them and they're still out there, but they make them at a much shorter rate than they do the disc model, right? Because I remember when we were looking for PlayStation 5s, I was looking for a diskless version, but never, the only time I could ever find one to buy, it was the disc version. And that seems to be the case for a lot of people. So the diskless version is it's kind of a rare find, that anybody that has one, hold on to those, because those will probably be worth a lot of money to collectors in the future. Because those are just harder to find, especially when you see a PlayStation 5 on the store shelves. Think about it. If you see them at Walmart or whatever, how many times do you see the diskless one sitting on the shelf? I've never seen the diskless one sitting on the shelf. I've always seen the one with the one we have, the one with the CD disk drive in it. So it makes sense, right? It makes sense. It sucks because we would rather have it all in one, but it makes sense from a business standpoint to only have to make one model, and then sell you a external hard drive if you want to use your CDs. Plug in USB or USB-C or something like that to the back of the thing, and then you just pop in your CDs from there, right? I mean, because Sony went against this a long time ago, but I want to tell you now, people listening out there, at that time Sony was just blowing smoke up your ass, because Xbox was trying to go all digital, right? And they got pushback from that. And the reason they got pushback is because they just did it too early. Consoles are gonna go that way. Disk drives are going out the door. I think they're gonna have external ones that you can plug in, but they're gonna go all digital because they want you to buy from their market, right? They want it to be all inclusive to their market.
Yeah, and we discussed this quite a bit when this was originally leaked out there, that they would have this digital only with a option to buy the drive for it. That just I do not like it. I think that's going to lead us down a path of digital only future, because Sony's going to be like, well, it didn't sell well, so everybody must want digital. Then they're going to go the digital route. Or, hey, we ran out of components to make this, so we're just going digital. Sony is already, milking their customers to death. I mean, you can't buy their games anywhere digitally except for through them. They don't put you that many damn sales out there. They're a very controlled, you know, store that, it's not beneficial to the gamers, and gamers need to point that out. I do not want a digital only console of any kind, not Xbox, not PlayStation. I definitely don't like buying Switch games digital. I mean, mainly because the hard drive on there is as big as a freaking thumbnail. But I just absolutely detest the ideal of a digital only future. I like the ideal of water cooled. If it keeps this thing from turning into Air Force One and taking off, I'm more than happy for those kind of upgrades. I bought a PS5 4 Pro. It bricked on me the day I got it for my birthday. So no, I just took it back, got my money. I was nope, I've been jinxed on it. So I'm not.
That was because
not
you bricked on it. You bricked on it, and it bricked on you. So,
come on, man. If you want to talk about that, go to my OnlyFans.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I'm not saying that a digital only console is going to happen tomorrow, but the manufacturers, I think, Sony and Xbox, maybe not Nintendo, because they do their own thing, but I think they're definitely wanting to head that direction. Right. But they'll still offer discs, right? But they'll want you to buy the external drive in order to play said discs, right? I think they want you to be within their ecosystem and buy from there and be all digital, right? They don't have to. I mean, it's just I think it makes more sense in the business standpoint. But I mean, for us gamers, I don't want that either. I don't want a discless, console, even though I was trying to buy the digital version originally. I'm glad I didn't buy that version, right? I'm glad I have the disc version. So,
well, and and part of me is, while I don't want the discless to become mainstream neither, because PlayStation is a perfect example. I have no reason to buy digital for PlayStation. I just don't. PlayStation has proven to me that they are anti-digital. And what I mean by that is that they own the marketplace. They don't allow people to purchase into the marketplace. So if you want to buy a digital game, you have to buy from Sony. So that's already stupid, because now they've cornered the market. You can't buy a PS5 digital game from anywhere but Sony. So that already kills that, and I don't like that. Whereas like Microsoft and even PC games, you can buy from many different third-party retailers, or you can buy their currency from other markets and get discounts on it. Whereas PlayStation's like, no, you want this game, we decide if it ever goes on sale or not. So they don't allow third parties to get rid of bulk items or bulk games they purchase too many of. Plus, I have a real big problem with the whole external drive mentality, because now I've got to find a place to put an external drive. And external drives like CD, Blu-ray drives spin up so damn quick these days. They vibrate. Oh, my PlayStation, like I said, sounds like it's going to take off if I fire it up with a game inside of it, from cold boot into it. I'm like, wow, it's about to fly out of the shell. But outside of that, is they're going to want you to plug into a USB-C, I think is what they're talking about for the new connection, which that's a 10 gigabit per second connection. But you're also using a shared controller for that. You're not using a controller design per channel like you would for an internal connection. Now, maybe they could put a dedicated port on the back of the PlayStation 5 that has its own singular controller, but that's to be determined. That would be the only way I would trust it, because at that point, yes, while it's a 10 gigabit per second connection, your SATA 3, which is a 6 gigabit, has a dedicated controller, and it's going to be able to process that data faster. So, it's not like they're going to do anything from the disk, but read it anyway, right? They're going to read it into the drive, download all the crap they need, so nothing comes complete on disk anymore anyway. So really, as much as we're bitching about disks, there still are digital games, because once you get it, it's like, hey, you need to download an update to play this game, so, and plenty of games come out now where you can't even play it till you go in and download the day one update, even if you're offline. It's like, there's an update for this game before you can play it, so I'm anti digital for that. for especially for PlayStation. I'm glad I didn't get, because I was in the same boat as Nick. I was like looking for a digital because I wanted to save that $100, and then I'm glad I didn't, because now I don't buy digital on the PlayStation ecosystem because of all the bad stuff and bad practices and anti-consumerism things that PlayStation does with their digital market. But Xbox, I buy mostly digital on Xbox because I can buy games from other places and put the key in my Xbox and it works, or I could buy a game on sale from somewhere else. And as long as it's a Xbox Series X or whatever key, I can pump it in Xbox, and guess what? I have the game. So I tend to buy more digital on Xbox. And I would agree with you guys. Xbox tried to do the whole digital, and I was anti. I didn't want anything digital. I'm like, no, I'm still buying physical discs all the time for them. So the world is changing. I'm not ready for it because, and we've also talked about this before, game preservation is going to suffer because games kill off back catalog stuff all the time. I mean, we've seen Steam do it. We've seen Epic do it. We've seen all these people be like, well, I'm delisting this game. And you're like, well, wait a minute. What if I own it? Or what we have most recently? Who did it? It was Sony, right? That stopped, or Microsoft, or one of them stopped dealing with some back catalog games they had, and actually you can no longer get them digitally. Try to remember which game that was most recently. And then one of Xbox, I think, killed off the DLC for something where you can no longer get all the DLCs for certain games. So it happens. And so now the game that you owned all digital, you can no longer play it. So but as I say that, even the damn discs that you get nowadays doesn't matter. If they actually do get rid of it at the store, you can install it into your system, but half of them won't play without the day one patch. So it's like, oh, sorry, still can't play.
Yeah, a disc is just a key to turn the game on. That's it. I mean, wasn't there a game that came out here recently? It was like 7% of the game was actually on the disc. I mean, you had to download almost the entire thing from the internet, and people were just losing their mud on it. No,
I don't remember what it was.
I am all for an actual mid-gen upgrade. That's fine, because I did jump into the Series S and the Series X on last gen. I tried the PS4 Pro. I'm okay with the mid, but at this point, if they want to make upgrades to the consoles, fine. I'm happy with my PlayStation 5. I'm happy with my Xbox, but yeah, I'm definitely not ready for an actual mid-gen upgrade by any means.
I'm ready for a late gen Switch upgrade though.
I am definitely on board with that one.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm not ready for it either. I think the article's a little BS on that. It's a little too soon for that. Apparently the source has gotten certain things right in the past. I just think this one is probably not correct, or at least something's wrong, because one, like Pat said, they would be marketing this by now, especially if they're going to be coming out in April, which the article suggests. They would already be marketing this well before now. They would be marketing this pro version. So that people can get their pre-orders in and all that stuff. They're not just going to surprise people, it'd be like, and being in April, it's an April Fool's joke at that point. But, I don't like the all digital future either, except for I do think it's going that direction, and having something like an external drive, like PlayStation's supposedly going to have with their slim version, is just a step towards that direction, right? It'll still be a few years. It's not like it's going to happen tomorrow, but it is going that direction, and whether we like it or not, that's how it's going to end, I assume. I hope it doesn't, but it looks to be heading that direction. We've seen it with too many other things, such as music and movies and stuff. I mean, even movies movies, you can still get Blu-rays and stuff in the store, but it's slim pickings as it, compared to how it used to be. And CDs, good luck with that, right? You can still get those, but that's slim pickings too.
The Walmart Blu-ray aisle is pretty bare.
Yeah.
It used to be like, it used to be rows. Now it's like a row or a shelf.
Now it's a shelf. Now it's just a box in the middle of the aisle.
It's the
Those are the
bargain bin.
$2 DVDs.
Yep.
The bargain DVDs.
Well, pretty
Yeah.
much anything, Bruce Willis puts out straight to the box. Just real quick before we go, I just did a quick look on release dates. Not even the slim versions of any of the PlayStation consoles have released before September. So I really can't see this coming to fruition at all. So.
Yeah, I'd say if we're going to see something like a slim version or some sort of version like that from Sony, I would say this E3 summertime is probably when we would hear about it. And then it would be coming out around, like Shane said, sometime in September, October, somewhere around there.
Yep.
When they normally release that stuff, right? That would give them a few months for people to get pre-orders in and stuff like that want to get the slim version. But most, it's not going to be much different other than just being a smaller variation of the current PlayStation 5. So, most people have it. So, but now they can, they got some collectors out there that will go out and purchase it, even if they have a PS5. And then, the people that don't, they might like the slimmer version, especially those customers out in Japan who do like the smaller consoles. Even though the PS5 is sold very well in Japan, they might go for more of a slimmer model. Because they do tend to gravitate towards those smaller consoles. So, but do you guys have anything else you want to say about this?
Nope.
Okay. All right then. Well, thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let us know down in the comments below. What do you think about a PlayStation 5 Pro version coming out in April? What do you think about a slim version coming out with a CD-ROM variant that you can purchase separately if you wanted to have a disc drive? What do you think of something like that coming out? Now we've heard a lot more about that variant than we have this Pro model that they're talking about here. If they do come out with a Pro model at some point, a mid-gen bump, which we suspect they probably will, what do you think about liquid cooling? Do you think they'll go with liquid cooling? Do you think they'll continue with fan and liquid metal that they have today? Or do you think they'll try to improve their cooling mechanism by going something like liquid cooling or something different? Let us know down in the comments below what you think. But other than that, thanks everybody for watching. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And hit the bell notification to stay up to date with new videos that we do all the time. We'll see you next time.
See ya.